place on the prairie. I think Dennis Schütze was born in the wrong body, or at least into the wrong hemisphere. I think he must really be from the Great Plains. But that's a good thing. Listening to the music on this album took me out to some honky-tonk backroom bar in a dusty little town, somewhere in Kansas or Oklahoma or Nebraska. When I first heard it, it made me think of a night long ago when I was kicking around out west waiting for the grain-hauled bus heading south to San Antonio. A 9-hour ride if it all goes well, since you gotta roll most of the way across Texas, and we all know how long that takes. The damn bus ain't due till way past midnight tonight, and since the sun just went down, sky still glowing a little in the west this time of the year, that makes it a little after 8. And since it's a Sunday night in this little old town, there ain't much going on to keep someone busy till that much later on. So I now got my ticket to San Antonio. I got nothing to do for a bunch of hours, and go outside into the warm night with the dry wind blowing. The wind's always blowing in these parts, and I head down the south side of Main Street and walk past the closed shops, looking into the windows at the stiff and silly store dummies showing off the back-to-school stuff for the kids. Then after another 2 blocks, with just a few houses, the town trails off into the big dark prairie, with nothing beyond but the steady wind and the star-strewn sky. So I cross the street and head back up toward the center of town, passing the dark and closed Gulliver's Diner, which always closes at 5 sharp, and then the Auto Parts Emporium with the grease marks all over the door, which is pretty much opposite the bus station. I look down and check my watch and see what my route has occupied all of 7 minutes. I could make this loop at least 48 times before my bus is scheduled to come in, and only then if it's on time. But since it's coming all the way up from Minneapolis, a good 16 hours away by grain-hauled time, I think that we got plenty of time to kill in this little sanctuary in the middle of the big, flat continent. Nowhere to go for anyone around here, unless maybe to San Joe, the next place down the road you might call a town, a good 36 miles yonder. But I can guarantee the only place that's open there is the back door of the gas station, where Billy and Sim have the TV playing the ball game and a cooler of beer ready, just in case Sammy and Luke decide to come in and finally change the spark plugs in Timmy's Camaro. The bus doesn't stop here, and never did. Don't even notice the place, either when it rolls through about midnight. If you ain't standing outside listening to the wind, and why the hell would you want to do that? You probably never hear the bus roll by at all. Only takes a second, whoosh. And then the big red taillights get smaller and smaller. Till about 6 or 7 minutes later, they turn into a single tiny red glow out in the middle of the giant darkness, getting smaller every second. They don't tell us anything about anyone's life except that in a couple more minutes they'll be gone into the big night, and there will be nothing there again except the wind, the stars and the blowing dust, and maybe a dead jackrabbit laying dry and flat in the middle of the highway. Another block up the street is Spud's Bar, the only outpost of light at this end of town. And as I head that way, I start to notice there's a little sound of music coming from inside. As I get closer, I decide I surely am thirsty and dry enough to go in, nod at the folks who turn around when the door opens, slide onto a stool and get a glass of whichever thin and foamy beer the keg might hold. And whatever the guy who's holding the guitar can do for us will just be fine. Strumming and plucking his well-worn guitar, a couple of hours pass by. Balls clacking on the beat-up pool table. Maybe later a burger or two from the freezer slapped down on the grill. 2 beers at least to thaw him out. And no worries about the big dark sky outside. Outside, the sky filled with cool white stars, hanging quietly directly over the roof of this precious little world, waiting for the wind of the night to blow it all slowly, slowly, slowly away. Dankeschön.